Don't be shy. We have plenty of seating up here. Yeah, come on, folks. There's plenty of room. Don't be shy. Sure. Well, good morning, everybody, and thank you so much for bearing with us as we adapted to our new location this morning. I know that we're getting started a little bit late, but I'm glad that folks who might have ended up down at the Heights are now here. My name is Meg Treat. I'm so glad to welcome you to our press conference this morning. I want to warmly welcome and acknowledge our friends in the media who are here, our esteemed special guests, our remarkable athletes, and our hardworking organizing committee, staff, and board. This year marks the 51st running of the ASICS Falmouth Road Race, and we're pleased to kick off the festivities with key individuals and information that will bring the story of our race to life this morning. Shortly, we'll have remarks from some of our key race leaders. We'll then move to hear from some of our elite athletes who are with us and some special guests of the event who help showcase the inspiring nature of our entire field. We'll wrap up with some media reminders and special instructions and an opportunity to explore the expo before the crowds arrive. If you'd like to speak with anyone for an individual interview after this press conference, please feel welcome to seek them out. After we've concluded, yes, we'll open the floor for those questions. You can seek out those that you need special information from. That should cover our agenda for this morning, and it's now my pleasure to introduce Jennifer Edwards, the Executive Director of Falmouth Road Race, Inc.
Thank you, Meg, and good morning, everyone. Welcome to this special kickoff of the weekend's festivities. So last year we celebrated our 50th year, which was a huge milestone for a road race with such humble beginnings, when our race founder, Tommy Leonard, and his friends ran from the Captain Kidd in Woods Hole to the Brothers Four in Falmouth Heights back in 1973. They couldn't have known the legacy of road racing that would follow them over the next half century. Legendary runners, recreational runners alike, delight in this course, and that is apparent in the unwavering demand for participation in our little race. Now, here we are at the start of the next 50 years. I hope that we, like Tommy, continue to inspire, make history, and foster an even stronger community around our event, while having a tremendous amount of fun at the same time. At the Falmouth Track Festival tonight, the SBLI Family Fun Run tomorrow morning, and the main event on Sunday, the ASICS Falmouth Road Race event weekend is welcoming over 10,000 runners. From the elite competition that will take place on the roads to the small victories of our everyday runners reaching their goals, there's no lack of inspiring stories and captivating sport this weekend. So thank you for joining us. Now I would like to welcome Britt Shannon from ASICS, our title sponsor. Britt, we're grateful to have you and your amazing team and the generous support that makes our race such a special experience for our participants.
Hello, everyone. You hear me okay? So on behalf of ASICS, it is an honor to welcome everyone to Falmouth, Massachusetts for the ASICS Falmouth Road Race weekend. The 2023 year marks the third in our title sponsorship of this iconic event. As a brand, we have supported athletes for over 70 years with a heritage steeped in innovation and performance running. Our ambition is to empower as many people as possible to experience the physical and mental benefits of movement through a sound mind, sound body approach to endurance. On behalf of ASICS, we wish all of the participants a great race and hope to enjoy the beautiful seaside course. We look forward to welcoming them across the finish line. Have a great weekend.
You'll see Britt again on Sunday holding the brake tape for the elite women's race. All right. Thank you, Britt. I'd now like to welcome Scott Gelfie, the president and also a huge race fan of the Falmouth Road Race, Inc. Board of Directors, to make his remarks and present some special honors and awards.
Thank you, Jennifer. I first want to wish Jennifer a early happy birthday tomorrow. Tommy told me right before he passed that he said his birthday celebration will be the first 50 years. The next 50 is going to be celebrating your birthday every weekend. So, no. If you knew all that she does and how the connection that she has to every facet of this race, it would just blow your mind. So, Jennifer, thank you for everything. Good morning, everyone. All throughout the year, but especially as race weekend arrives, it is so clear to see that this remarkable road race comes together thanks to an amazing group of leaders, vendors, volunteers, and sponsors. First, we must recognize our beautiful, hospitable, and supportive town. There could be no better setting than Falmouth for this iconic event. This year, we have the pleasure of welcoming new key members to town's leadership. Chief Jeffrey Laurie, our new police chief, brings with him a wealth of experience and a passion for community engagement. We have already seen that firsthand and are excited to work side by side with Chief Laurie as we strive to uphold the highest standards of safety during the race and beyond. Additionally, we extend a warm welcome to our new town manager, Mike Renshaw, who will be witnessing our race for the first time on Sunday. Next, I want to highlight some of the many sponsors who make this world-class event possible. ASICS, we could not do this without you. Your dedication to the running community is evident in not only the highest quality products and experiences that you offer runners, but also in your support of the events that capture their imaginations. Dana-Farber Cancer Institute and the Jimmy Fund help us execute one of the most successful and engaged charity running programs in our country. We have over a third of our field running for a local cause, and their partnership sets up our runners for success. I also want to recognize Spalding Rehabilitation Hospital Cape Cod, who has been an official sponsor for our wheelchair division for over 10 years. Our wheelchair program was the first non-marathon wheelchair race in our country. One of the many ways Falmouth Road Race gives back is through our biannual grant program. During this gathering right now, I'd like to announce and highlight our most recent recipients. We're going to call you up. I have the list here. I have some checks for people. We're going to do one group picture. So come on up when I call you. We'll present the check. Our first grant recipient is Cape Cod Rugby Football Club with Dan Schell. Next is Dennis Yarmouth Girls Track Traveling Team with Lisa and Zach. Oh, yeah. So you guys have to get your track? Okay. So you're good. Next, we have a grant for fitness equipment with the school system with Sonia Teller. Is Sonia here? Oh. And next we have a big group, another school system grant, and we have Elaine Curtis, Camilla Majewski, I got to get my glasses here, Caleb Lewis, Phil Lewis, Jenny Lewis, and Rob Curtis. Thanks, buddy. We have another grant for T-Ticket Elementary PTO playground equipment with Carrie Shanahan and Assistant Principal Krista Conley and Sarah Warner. And we have a grant for Falmouth Clipper Sailing for new dinghies. We have Molly Keefe, Joey Keefe, Lillian Carl, Amy Gross-Keogh, and Michael Campbell. Have you gotten your check? Nope. No. There you go. Thank you. And we have a grant for the Great Harbors 5K Road Race with Eric Lemieux. And we have a grant for Tommy's Place for their Falmouth home. And we have the Tryon family, Ashley and Braden. Hi. And last, we have a Wild Harbor Sailing windsurf for windsurf boards with Megan and John Connor. Okay, yeah, they must. They're already using. They already got their check, so they're probably out on the water. Quick picture. To the board, Bob, Travis, Donna. Hey, Bob, Travis, Donna. Did you already get your check?
Falmouth, no, we're the Falmouth, we're the
Oh yeah, that was the last one.
Clipper sailing team boosters.
Oh, so you guys got the one big check that went to the high school.
It shouldn't have, but,
But we can check. Yeah. I think.
yeah, it should have gone to the school, but, Falmouth Clipper sailing.
So that's yours. Okay. So this check right here, the sailing dinghies, they didn't. She said she didn't get her check, or did that go to the high school? Okay, we'll follow that up. So, is that better? Thank you. Earlier this week, we presented dedicated awards. I'm checking to see if I started in the right place here. Yep, we just did grants. So thank you. Earlier this week, we presented awards to dedicated volunteers who give of their time and expertise to make our race great. I'd like to highlight them once again today. This year's recipient of the John and Lucia Carroll Service Award as Volunteers of the Year are Annette and Joe Messina, who have been volunteering for nearly 15 years. So I'd like to give them a special round of applause. And our Medical Volunteer of the Year, which since 2017 has been given in honor of Evan Weinstein, is Regina Reed for her 36 years of service. And I think I saw Regina back there. Thank you very much, Regina. Clearly, there are so many things to love and celebrate about our event. That said, I know the legacy of the ASICS Falmouth Road Race is giving back to the community. Since 2012, through grants, scholarships, donations, and sponsorships, we've given back over $4.7 million. That is certainly the legacy we are most proud of, the impact that we have on the organizations and town to bring our event to life. I hope it will continue to be the focus of all that we do in the next 50 years and beyond. Now I'd like to welcome Dave McGilvery, President of Dimsey Sports and Race Director of the Falmouth Road Race, to give a pre-race report.
Thank you, Scott. First of all, in the room here, who here is under 51 years of age? Raise your hand. Raise your high, okay. So look at everyone that's not raising their hand. It's a trick way of saying who's over 51 years of age. So 51 years, that's a long time. That's a long time for anything to last. And this race has done just that. If you look over in this area here, all those pictures of the Falmouth Road Race, and throughout the years, pretty amazing that this race has gone on that long, one of the oldest races in America. So what I've experienced this year is that we are back, right? The pandemic, I've been in this industry for over 40 years, and I never, ever in my life thought anything would ever bring us to our knees. Anything, economy, nothing, until the pandemic came. And everything went over the cliff. But we persevered. That's one thing about our industry, is that we're resilient. And I've always felt that the comeback is always stronger than the setback. And you're going to see that this weekend. This race has come back stronger than ever. Stronger than ever, and you'll see the results of that just in the next few days. So as far as the race itself, I typically say we're all set, but we're not, because we got 2 more days to go. But you know, it's pretty amazing. The team has been working so hard on everything, right? Things like registration, the expo that you see here, the setup of the entire event, busing, start process, lead vehicles, course setup and management, painting mile markers, laying down finish line adhesives, finish line layout, the whole new setup at the finish itself, the truss and everything, VIP program, tents at the finish, media, security, medical, timing and security, and results and miles and kids' fun runs and the breakdown, and on and on and on it goes. Just that list alone will boggle the mind as far as the amount of moving parts. And the fact of the matter is that, you know, most never even see all the work that goes on behind the scenes. These are massive events. You know, the Boston Marathon, we put on a race a couple of weeks ago, the Beach to Beacon. This one, the ASICS Falmouth Road Race, it's so much work. And what's fascinating is it takes almost 12 months to plan it, and in like 3 hours it's over. You know, so you wonder, but because of all that planning, those 3 hours are probably the highlight of what goes on in this town throughout the entire year. So I personally, too, want to thank the organizing committee, the board, my DIMSY team, the volunteers, the town. Police and fire this year have been absolutely outstanding, awesome. The support is great. ASICS and all our other sponsors. Quickly, 6 important things among many others that we focus on. And the reason why this race is so great: the community support, the elite athletes that are here. The course is just amazing, all right? Awesome course. Race management, I'd like to think. Philanthropy. I mean, just the fundraising alone this year, over $6 million being given back to hundreds of worthwhile causes throughout the community, and then all our sponsors. So yes, many, many times I stand here and say I want to thank all those who started it, Tommy and John and Lucia and Kathy and Rich and all the people that were here. But you know what else is fascinating? What about the people that it's now been handed to? A lot of those people are in this room right now. It's amazing that those people have taken this and brought it to a whole new level, So the 3 things that change the most in any event, number 1 is technology, right? I mean, I don't know Slick from Slack, Slack from Slick. I don't know any. I'm old school. And without surrounding ourselves with, you know, the people that are in this room and others, the young generation, I mean, this couldn't happen in a sense at the level that it does. So thank you to all those people for just elevating it to that level. Medical, critical. I mean, years ago, a lot of us who did these races, I mean, that's what we did. We ran, and we ran, and we ran. But now it's more than, people are doing it for a greater purpose. But as a result, they may need some help. Because of the medical team, we have that help here in Falmouth. And lastly, security. Unfortunately, what happened 10 years ago has change the whole industry, but we're safe. The safest place to be on the planet at any given time, any weekend, is at a road race because of the security now that has come together to support it. So lastly, as far as the weather, the elephant in the room, the trouble with weather forecasting is that it's right too often for us to ignore, but it's also wrong too often for us to really rely on. What does that mean? I don't know. Like, this was supposed to happen in the VIP. I bet it's not even raining out right now, right? So it's frustrating, but it's hard. It's hard for us in a management position because we want to be safe. We want to keep everyone safe. So it's a catch-22. It's a no-win situation sometimes with weather. But we're going to have a great race on Sunday for sure. Personally, I should have just taken up indoor volleyball management and not road racing. So lastly, wishing our good friend, three-time winner of the ASICS Falmouth Road Race, Ben Flanagan, the best in the world in Budapest on Thursday. Scott's going with his daughter, and we all wish Ben the best of luck next week. Thank you.
So now I would like to bring up to the podium our medical director, Dr. John Jardine, to speak a little bit about what to expect this weekend. If you've seen some videos that we've done, if you've seen them online, he did a fantastic job sharing tips to stay hydrated and kind of how to stay out of the medical tent, really. So if you're running this race, make sure you start hydrating today and get a good night's rest. Okay, thanks.
Okay, I'm done. And anybody who works with the Falmouth Road Race in any regard knows that you do not want to follow Dave McGilvery as a speaker. So thank you for that. So now we have a great medical team. We're very proud of our team. We have 250 volunteers this year in 5 tent locations. We have about 50 what we call mobile medical people that are around the course, keeping you safe. We did the hydration video, we did the heat stroke video, which are available online. We have some FAQs about how to keep yourself away from me on race day. And certainly, we appreciate the recognition, but we want to be like your internet security, right? We're running in the background to keep you safe, and that's what we do. So have a great race day, and hopefully you don't see me that day, right?
All right. Well, moving into welcoming some of our athletes who are towing the line this weekend, I want to welcome someone who hardly needs an introduction in our industry and in our running community. But I'm glad to be joined this morning by Tony Rivas, the running journalist and broadcaster who captured the stories of the first running boom in the United States and continues to capture its most pressing and important moments today. Tony, thank you so much for joining us this morning and for taking time to chat with our elite field. I'd like to first welcome up with us, Tony, and you can join me over here if you like. Wheelchair racing is one of the most competitive and thrilling parts of our sport today. Falmouth's long history of inclusion of para-athletes continues as we enter our next 50 years of racing. And it's my pleasure to introduce 2 of the most compelling members of our elite wheelchair racing field, Susanna Scaroni and Daniel Romanchuk.
Thanks, Meg. We got a hand mic. Susanna, grab the thing. Hi, kids. How are you? I was here in 1975 at this race. Tripped over somebody in the ball field, said, "Excuse me." Turned out she was somebody I grew up in a neighborhood in St. Louis, Missouri. She was visiting from Washington, D.C. That's the Falmouth Road Race. People from all over the country show up in the summertime for this race. We ended up driving back to St. Louis later that week to visit our folks. I've been coming back every year since. This is the great American road race. That's its nickname. This was the creation of the running boom. When Bill Rogers and Frank Shorter teamed up in the mid-1970s, late 1970s, and exchanged the victories in this race, and the boom was on. And the races never faltered. And it was also, like Dave mentioned earlier, this was the first non-marathon road race where wheelchair athletes were invited and blessed. And Bob Hall from Greater Boston Track Club was among the first. But we have two of the greatest right here. Daniel's a 4-time champion and our course record holder from last year. Susanna, coming from all the way from Washington, is our 2023 Boston Marathon champion under conditions a little bit like today, where it was kind of wet, which is the bugaboo of wheelchair athletes. Susanna, let me begin with you. We go through eras, it seems, in wheelchair racing. We used to have the Jean Driscoll era back in the 80s, then Tatiana McFadden. Remember, she just won everything for years and years and years. Manuela Schar was hot for several years, and now it's you, seemingly. We have the Susanna Scaroni era. To what do you attribute that, and what has finally elevated you to this being the dominant athlete on the tour right now?
Well, I would say, there is a lot of luck that goes on sometimes in wheelchair racing. I was really blessed with a great year last year, a lot of career highlights, but also, a lot of other things happened to people I raced against last year too, so I'm grateful. I felt very strong last year. I have amazing training. I trained with Daniel at the University of Illinois, where I've been for 11 years. Trained with Tatiana McFadden, many record and record-holding legendary athletes. Under the guidance of an amazing coach who's a wheelchair racer himself. So we have a great environment to, after 11 years, I'm a slow learner. I feel like I'm feeling good in my career right now, but there's always a lot of elements that go on in a race, and I could never guarantee I could win a race. I think, we have a really strong field of women as well these days, and I love being a part of that and never really knowing who will win.
Tell me about the University of Illinois. I know it is the greatest, program for athletes in wheelchairs. I mean, it's like NCAA Division I football. I mean, that's how good it is. I mean, the names I listed, Jean Driscoll, Tatiana McFadden, and now yourself, all coming out of this University of Illinois program. Marty Morse was a coach for many, many years. But it's got a tradition. It's got a legacy. Can you tell us a little bit about it? Because it's very important.
Yeah. So honestly, the University of Illinois was one of the first college where people with disabilities were actually allowed to attain a higher education. And from that legacy of just enabling people with disabilities to become professionals, I think, wheelchair basketball, wheelchair racing kind of naturally started there as well. And so we have just an amazing environment of just professionalism. I think, student athletes who are also Paralympians, all training together, working hard. We have an incredible coach who was also a part of that program, was trained by Marty Morse, who is just, legendary wheelchair racer, innovator himself. And we still have Marty Morse's guidance there as well. It's just an incredible ability to share information. Our sport, I think we really rely on the ability to share information. It's something we're still learning how to go faster and faster. And so at the U of I, where we have so many great minds, we benefit a lot from that. As a woman, I benefit from training with males like Daniel, who are always pushing us to go faster and faster. So I'm, I benefit even more so, but I'm just really blessed to get to be at the U of I.
Beautiful. Let me talk to Daniel for a second. Daniel is our 4-time champion and, of course, record holder from last year. Was it 21:58? Was that the time? Something along those?
I'm not sure.
Some stupid number that doesn't really compute in anyone's mind because it's so darn fast. I remember when Daniel and his mom first showed up here years and years ago. He was just a baby. And he was already, everyone was touting that this was going to be the guy. This was going to be the next guy. And he's really come to the fore. 21 Boston Marathon champion, 2-time Paralympic gold medalist on the track, former world record holder on the track. That's one of the things you don't see in foot racing, Daniel, is the distance runners don't do the shorter track races, but the wheelchair athletes do. Talk about how you have to compartmentalize, if you do, your training so you can be good both at the marathon level, but also down at the 400 and 800 meters.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of aspects in certain races that really they transfer over to other distances. They all have a start, they all have a finish, and so there are certain things that you can really train for that really do just go across distance. But that's where out at the U of I we just have great knowledge of coaching, and they know exactly what to do, the right things to do, the right amount of that stuff, and when to do it. Because we work closely with Adam on our schedules, and so he knows just what to do when to pull that stuff out.
Talk about the equipment. Right now in the world of track and field, we have this new super shoe era where all the records are being broken, and it's really, they're running on devices rather than just protective gear, and it's changed the sport entirely. Talk about the wheelchairs. What's the cost for a racing chair, and is there a super chair era in this sport too?
It's kind of changed a lot over the last few years. The Swiss came out with a chair at the 2021 games, and that's certainly taken things to a whole nother level. But actually, I've tried to been working with a company in the States to try and also produce equipment, but also just keep the cost down, because that's one of the things in the sport is you've got people with probably lots of medical bills already, and then trying to do adaptive equipment on top of that, which is not cheap in the first place, and it just keeps on adding up. And so trying to work with a company to kind of bring things down, yet still produce that high-end equipment. And I've actually been working towards creating a foundation or something of that nature to help provide racing equipment and other equipment to people who may not have as easy access to it.
Great. Ladies and gentlemen, Daniel Romanchuk and Susanna Scarronia, our top wheelchair competitors for the 2023 ASICS Falmouth Road Race. Thanks, guys. Very best of luck to you.
All right, coming up next this morning, we'd like to welcome two members of our men's elite field. Please join me in welcoming Craig Engels and Wesley Kiptu.
These are two different fields. This is like we were talking about with Daniel. That's a miler. That's a guy heading to the Chicago Marathon and stopping along the way here at the, yeah, just give it to Craig. And so they're, although, Craig, you going to run the 7-miler?
I might. I heard Wesley's hopping in the mile, so I might come for him in
you
the 7-mile.
You run the mile? So I'm wrong. They're all going to do both. But this guy's the 2019 U.S. indoor and outdoor 1,500-meter champion. I mean, he's primarily a guy who lives on the track. We were talking about that earlier, Craig, the fact that an Ole Miss grad, now living out and training in San Luis Obispo, California. Here you are at the top of the heap of the United States, which has such a great miling tradition. Matter, just a quick little history lesson. Marty LaCory, one of the great milers in history, was invited by his brother Steve, who's a friend of Tommy Leonard's, to come run the 1974 Falmouth Road Race. He was on his way back from the European tour. Thought it was going to be a nice little fun run. He ended up with this up-and-coming regional guy here in Boston named Bill Rogers. And Bill handed him his head. I mean, just destroyed him. And it was a big news all over the globe in the Boston Herald that Bill Rogers beats the great running legend Marty LaCory, back when reporters didn't know that there was a distinction between a mile and a 7-miler. So that's Marty's history and the miling history, in the 7-miler. But here you are, the top of the heap in 2019, and then COVID hits. It takes so long to get up to that pinnacle of your top fitness, and you're really racing right at the top of your game. And now the rug gets pulled out from underneath you and everyone else. How do you psychologically then retool, much less physically, to get yourself trying to get back all the way to that top level?
Yeah. First off, thanks for moderating this. Honestly, my biggest thing is having fun. So that's why I come to the Falmouth Road Race. That's why I hang out with Mr. Gelfi. But so I love having fun, and the most fun thing for me is racing. And then in 2020, we weren't really able to race much. I think Falmouth was canceled, and this was my favorite race to come to every year. So these things that like I really looked forward to in racing got taken away, like you said. Like I rolled a ball up a mountain and then it just came back down. So yeah, it was a bummer not being able to race, but like in the perspective of everything, like we didn't have it that hard. We had our health and we had, you know, like our families and stuff. So yeah, it sucked for not being able to race, but that all came back. And now this year for Falmouth, I think we're all super excited because the crowds are back and it's like bigger than ever. So I'm really excited for this year. And I know it's been a rough few years since COVID, but everything bounced back and we are resilient as humans.
What's your condition? How do you think you're going to do?
I think I'll do all right. Hopefully I make it to the start line of the 7-miler if we don't play too much pickleball on Saturday. But yeah, I'm really excited. I think I've won this race twice, and this year will be the hardest one I think ever to win in the mile. So I'm looking forward to the competition and getting out there. So I hope to see everyone there tonight at 8:15, I think.
A late start.
Yeah, late start.
Well, under the lights. Great. Well, Wesley Kiptoo, you ran this race last year and you got 5th place. David Bett, who's back in this race again, he got 3rd place, but he led the race almost the entire way, and he was caught by Ben Flanagan between 5 and 6 miles. He had as much as a 9-second lead. What did you learn last year from the race that you hope to put into play on Sunday morning?
Thank you for that. What I learned last year, it's like don't go out too hard. It's just good to go conservative and maybe like the last 2 miles, try to put a pedal on the gas and destroy everyone.
You know, this guy is mentored by another guy named Leslie Career, who was Wesley Career was the 2012 Boston Marathon champion, the 2-time Los Angeles Marathon champion, who started a school called the Transcend Academy in Kenya. And you went to that school, and Wesley took you under his wing and helped bring you to the United States, where you went to Colby Community College and then Iowa State, NCAA cross-country champion in 2019 at Iowa State. But at Colby Community College, you actually met your wife. Tell me about the journey from Marakwet, Kenya to Colby, Kansas. That's a long way in many ways, not just in time and space. Tell me about that journey and then meeting your wife and now having 2 young children as well.
Actually, the journey wasn't too easy for me. Grew up in Kenya. Life was a little hard. And I'm glad that I found Wesley and he helped me to come over here. And coming over here, there was a lot of challenges. You know, one, the weather, language barrier, because English is my second language, and it was like really hard for me to like go to class and do some stuff on the computer. But I'm glad that I made it this far. So, and marrying my wife in Kansas was another big change because it's just good to have a family. And now we have 2 kids, and yeah, maybe someday they will come to Falmouth Road Race.
Well, you sound like you're very blessed, like a blessed man. Well, Wesley, tell me about your expectation. Now, you're preparing for the Chicago Marathon in October, and this is another important step along that journey. Have you changed your training from last year as you prepare for Chicago, and where does Falmouth fit into your plans?
Actually, I've changed my training from last year. Now I'm running close to 120, 125 miles.
Show of hands, how many other 120-mile-a-weekers do we have?
And no, in a week. And Falmouth Road is actually fit in between like my block for a tempo run, so it will be like a good speed walk race for me. And I'm looking forward for like 7 more weeks to Chicago, so hopefully things will go well.
Absolutely. Wish you well, and we wish you both luck in the mile, luck in the 7-miler, and even more luck in the races that you're really focusing on. Wesley Kiptoo, Craig Engels, ladies and gentlemen. Give him a big hand. Meg, back to you.
All right, thank you so much. So, moving into some of the other compelling stories that are going to be playing out on the road this weekend. You know, Falmouth is not just a place for competition. Our race is also home to a community of athletes that represent a wide range of paces, diverse and inspiring stories, and unique motivations that bring them here to our town. For the first time as a part of our pre-race press conference, we are proud to introduce some of the influential and compelling members of that very community. First, I'd like to welcome Martinez Evans, an author, influencer, and founder of the Slow AF Run Club, as well as Brian Salzberg, who has run every single Falmouth road race. So, Martinez, you're speaking here at the expo both today and tomorrow, it sounds like, too.
Absolutely.
Yes, and I was wondering if you could share with folks a little bit more about what they can expect by joining you for your speaking engagement right here at 5:30 today.
So one of the things that you can expect from my speech later on today and tomorrow is unadulterated motivation and inspiration. If you haven't thought about running, after hearing my speech, you will be running. And if you are running, after you hear my speech, you're going to be running even faster. But overall, it's the goal of just getting people inspired and motivated to get out there and give their best while running, and just know that we're all here to have fun and we all deserve to be on the course as well.
I love that sentiment, and I think that's such a big part of your message. I'd love to hear more from you, Martinez, about, say there's someone out there who's thought about running, maybe they've started running, but they've let their worries about their pace, their body type, their experience level get in the way of hitting the register button and coming out to a road race like ours. What would be your message or your words to someone like that who might be hitting a mindset roadblock about running a road race?
Absolutely. What I would tell people is that you can do it. It may look different from the elite athletes that we had here, and that's okay. You don't have to be an elite athlete to come out and race and have fun. And if you're really worried about running and participating in the race, what I would tell you is do it afraid. Everything that I've ever done and everything that has come to my success has came from me doing it afraid. The second thing I would say is have delusional self-belief. Sometimes you got to believe in yourself so much that everyone else around you thinks you're delusional. But if you think about it, flying, somebody sat down and said, you know, I want to fly with the birds. And imagine somebody saying, well, what are you having? Because I would like 2 of them. So having delusional self-belief and doing it afraid is one of the things that I tell all the people that I coach, and let the people know that we can do it, you can do it, and just come out and just try.
Amazing. And I know that so many members of our team, our organizing committee, our staff have received a copy of your book, which I'd love to give you a minute to share a little bit more about and tell us, can people stop by your booth at the expo and pick up a copy?
Absolutely. So Slow AF Run Club, the ultimate guide for anybody who wants to run. This is the book that I wish I would have had when I first started running 10 years ago. So when I started running 10 years ago, I was a 300-pound man that had no experience in running. I couldn't even hire a coach to even train me because he was afraid that I was going to hurt myself. So I had to learn everything the hard way. I read every book. I became a certified run coach, all under the guise of teaching myself how to run. And since then, I've ran over 8 marathons and 100 other road races. And now, with my knowledge of learning things the hard way and my racing experience, I want everybody to know that they can be a runner, and I want to give them the technical knowledge and experiences and journeys that I faced to give that to them in hopes that it would lower their learning curve into the sport of running. So yes, you'll be able to pick up the book here. I have autographed copies. So please come by. I'm always ready for a selfie and a handshake.
Thanks, Martinez. I'll be stopping by for sure to get my copy signed, so expect to see me later today. Now turning to Brian Salzberg. Brian, you're back here in Falmouth to run your 51st edition of this race. If you could go back in time right now to see your younger self on the start line 51 years ago, and you told them that you kept up this tradition for so long, what do you think your younger self would say?
You're crazy. This was actually in August of 1973. This was my first road race. I'd only started running. Well, I started running seriously in July of that summer, and I'd been doing a little bit of running around the streets of Cambridge for 4 or 5 years before that, but my first real running was in the summer of '73, and I heard about this bar-to-bar race. It seemed like a good idea. I'd never done 7 miles. Who knew? Of course, people who were around then remember that we've never had better weather than August 15th of 1973. It was about 52 degrees, pouring rain, 40-mile-an-hour headwind, and it was great.
What would you say to some of the runners who are in this room right now or watching online who, no matter how long they've been running, no matter how old they are, if they want to start a tradition like this one, what tips would you have for them, and what has a tradition like this meant to you?
Keep on running. I mean, this has really become the highlight of my year. I really look forward to Falmouth every summer. I started out as a postdoc working in Woods Hole in 1972. So 73 was my second year in Woods Hole. And I had a lab there for about 25 years at the Marine Biological Lab in Woods Hole. And then I've been coming back every summer since, just for the road race.
I love it. Well, thank you both so much for joining us this morning. I think we're going to take a photo maybe real quick, and also maybe a special presentation for Brian.
Brian. There you go. Do you want to give it to him? Got it? I met Martinez at the Running USA Industry Conference that we have each year, and I was so impressed and so happy to speak with you, and I just said, you have to come to Falmouth. Falmouth's going to love you, so so happy you're here. Appreciate it. So we wanted to just do a quick acknowledgement and give you a little something special, Brian. This year, our official poster was made by local artist Jane Faye Baker, and it's a wood carving, and that is a handprint. There are only a few editions of those. She hand printed them. That's right, it's Mile 4. It's part of inspired by our bib this year, which is featuring Mile 4, and since you completed 50 and you're up for 51, we wanted you to have an original to celebrate. So thank you. Continue the good work.
Thank you. That was a great present. Thank you.
All right. Well, thank you all so much for sharing your stories with us this morning. All of the folks who have spoken will be available for individual interviews for those members of the media that are here that might like to chat with them. I wanted to offer a couple of reminders before we send you on your way. For those members of the media that are here, I wanted to let you know that myself, as well as my colleague Anna, are your primary points of contact this weekend to make your life easy as you tell the story of our race. Please don't hesitate to reach out to us if there's anything we can do to make your life easier. I also want to thank the amazing Jay Holder for all of his great help in assisting our team with leading all of the storytelling efforts here this weekend. A quick recap of key things coming up. So tonight at 7 p.m., the Falmouth Track Festival. Our media team will be ready to welcome journalists and reporters around 6:30, and that's right here at Falmouth High School. Tomorrow morning at 9 a.m., the SBLI Family Fun Run will be also at the track beginning at 8:30. You can arrive there for our 9 o'clock start. And on Sunday, of course, the big race. For those riding the press trucks to our event, please do arrive to Lantern Lane no later than 6 a.m. to board those trucks and head for the start line. If you're not riding the trucks with us, please go ahead and head straight to the start and finish lines there. In regards to parking for our friends in the media, today and tomorrow, please park in the same designated areas that are there for our participants. On Sunday, if you're headed to the start line in our press trucks, you can park anywhere on Main Street, Town Hall Square, or at our Falmouth Road Race office. If you are heading straight to the finish line or start line for your reporting, please go ahead and utilize municipal and public parking in those areas. I think that should do it. But once again, if you have questions, Anna, Jay, and I are here to be of help to you. Please don't be afraid to reach out to us. And thank you all very much for joining us this morning.